Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where I'm not sure if our hex manager is null or if it was a problem with our selected world hex. Well, let's find out. Debug.log, and we are going to just log hex manager for right now. And then we'll also debug.log, and this will be selected world hex. So hex manager.selected world hex. We'll see which one of these is actually null reference exceptioning us. So let's find out. So we come on in here, we go through our bit of tutorial, and then once we are almost to the position of purchasing land, then we're going to need to figure out which one of these is causing the null reference exception and fix that accordingly. Okay, so there we go. Surveying land. It's null reference exceptioning. So. Okay. So it's outputting null. It's not outputting hex manager at all. So it's not actually getting hex manager. This isn't working. That's kind of what I thought was happening. So why isn't this working? Well, let's go ahead and unplay this for right now. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and add a tag here. And we're going to call this hex manager. There we go. We're going to go ahead and tag the hex manager with hex manager. And then we're just going to do find game object with tag hex manager.get component hex manager. Hopefully that'll work. I guess we're about to find out. Like, is the hex manager disabled at the beginning or something? I'm a little confused. I don't think it ever disables itself. But let's find out. Come on. There we go. Okay. No reference exceptions. Huh. If hex manager equals no, debug.log no hex manager, and then we can just simply, at this point, return. We're going to need to put this in curly braces, obviously, but there we go. Just return false. Since we're returning a bool, we have to specify a return type. But if there's no hex manager, then we'll just debug.log no hex manager? What is happening here? Why is there no hex manager? Okay, we compile that, unpause this, or rather unplay this, and we'll try again. That will confirm for us that there's no hex manager while also avoiding the null reference exceptions. If there's no hex manager, then I'm not sure what's going on, because we should be grabbing it by its tag. Okay, so A. There we go. Great job. Next. So surveying land. No hex manager. Yeah, it's just outputting no hex manager repeatedly. So hex manager equals no. Which I find to be very strange indeed. Because it should know about the hex manager. From this. This is of type hex manager. It's named hex manager and it's tagged hex manager. But there is no hex manager being seen by this guy. Hmm. This is of type advisor object. What would happen if we made this public? I mean, I don't want to have it work this way, but why is it not coming up with it? We make this public, and then it compiles it in. Here's the hex manager, and we just do that. This shouldn't be necessary. But let's find out. Maybe that was the problem. I mean, it definitely was the problem, and this should absolutely work. So, A, next, surveying land, next, no hex manager. What? We're explicitly assigning it, though. It's right here. We're explicitly assigning it. So it's unassigning? Why would it be unassigning? I'm really confused right now. This should not be happening. So, let's do this. Debug.log hex manager. Right after we assign it. And then we can put this back if that doesn't work. This is bizarre. Come on. One of these days. I mean, we could turn off biome generation and have that generate on demand. Yeah, it's outputting hex manager of type hex manager. So it has it there. And then here it has no hex manager. Huh. So why is it forgetting about the hex manager? Let's make this public again. And I want this to remain unassigned. I'm going to hit the pause button and then the play button so that it just runs that first frame. And once it has the first frame, actually we're going to need to not maximize on play, aren't we? Yeah, that's going to have to happen. Should have done that. Oh, no. Never mind. The pause button does that for us. So yeah, it has hex manager here. And then if we hit next here, it still has hex manager. We put in A. It still has hex manager. We're on surveying land. It still has hex manager. It's literally right there. No hex manager. Hex manager equals null. Did I forget a... I didn't, though. It's not changing anything here with the hex manager. And the thing is, it outputs it correctly here. It has it here. It just doesn't see it in this method. Because this isn't virtual. We have a start and an update there. We have just an awake here. Okay, I think we can make this work. We need to make this be a private virtual void awake so that it's properly inherited, and then a public virtual bool should unpause. And this can be protected. Virtual void awake. And then this should be public virtual void unpause on changing name. These should all be virtual. Okay. I think that was the problem. We can get rid of this. We can leave this here. It shouldn't ever be called. I think the problem is we were calling uninherited methods from a child script, and that was causing weirdness with the inheritance of the variable. I'm pretty sure that's what was happening there. Okay, so A. Next. Next. No hex manager. What? Okay. Protected hex manager, hex manager. This was clearly called because the buttons worked. But hex manager is still null. Okay. On start script, debug.log, hex manager. Let's see if this actually sees the hex manager here. I'm pretty sure this is inheritance weirdness that's going on. We'll find out. So we'll see what it outputs here. If it's null, that'll tell us something. Nope, it's not null. So we're able to see it properly from advisor script. Okay. Now no hex manager. So why is it only null right here? This is the only place hex manager is null. I mean, there's no reason for this to not be public, in my opinion. But it's being assigned, and from every other location, we can get it, and it works fine. Like, in start, it's fine. If we put it in update, it'll probably still be fine. Let's find out. This should, I think, be perfectly fine. But we'll find out momentarily. It should just be outputting a constant stream of hex manager, hex manager. That's exactly what it's doing. Okay. So from right here, we see it. What about right here? So now it'll only output it if we are currently awaiting. Why does it not see Hex Manager? That's the thing that really baffles me here. It sees it everywhere except for where we need it to. Okay, so default company name, A. It was outputting it there. And now it's outputting every frame the Hex Manager followed by no Hex Manager in the next line. What happens if we put this in here? Like that. No Hex Manager correcting, and then we have it assign in the Hex Manager. Is it still going to error out if we assign it literally the line before it? I guess we'll find out. We also don't need this outputting every single frame. There we go. So as soon as we've compiled this, is that still going to error? Is the question. And if it does, is the subhex going to error? I have no idea why this is happening. This shouldn't be happening, in fact. Okay, so we will put in A here. Next. Next. No Hex Manager correcting. Is it outputting this every frame? No, it output it once. Okay. So that worked. So why is it forgetting about the Hex Manager in this one function? That's the question I have. I put it in once and it works fine. So if we continue this, the map has now zoomed in, blah blah blah, additional hexes are now viewable, select a biome hex to continue. Null reference exceptions. It forgot about it again. Right here, it's saying there's no Hex Manager, even though we have said it at this point literally like 4 times. Advisor object.hex manager. It is being set correctly, but for whatever reason, only in this function, it's forgetting about it. I'm a little baffled about this. I've never seen this happening before. We can call it right here. We shouldn't have to. And another thing I'd like to do here, if method equals no, if there is no method, then it should just return false. And then this can be an else if method equals unpause on selecting world hex. We don't assign the hex manager to be null at any point, though. There's no reason to do that. I don't know why just right here should unpause. It's returning that there's null there. That's very bizarre. This is kind of a hacky solution around it, but I guess is what we gotta go with? I don't like it. I'd rather figure out why it's null referencing. Because I feel like this is going to cause problems later on down the road. But for right now, we'll see if that fixes it. And if this does, in fact, cause problems, well, I guess we'll do something about it at that point. So, A. A. There we go. Great job. Surveying land. No hex manager correcting. As you can see, the map has now zoomed in. Additional hexes are now viewable. There are 3 different hex levels in operational logistics: world hexes, which are the large hexes on which you've already clicked, the biome hexes, which you can see below this window, and a 3rd level, the building hexes. Select a biome hex to continue. Okay, so we now would select a biome hex, and then purchasing land. No hex manager correcting again. But then it shows us this, and that's all well and good. So, I mean, it works. This is very much a hacky solution right here. I'm going to delete the debug log because it's going to annoy me. I don't know why that this is happening. I feel like it shouldn't be. Unless... I know why it's happening. What we need to do is we need to... The should unpause is being called on the elements. I am an idiot. Okay. All we gotta do here is for each, and this will be advisor object element in elements. All we gotta do is say element dot hex manager equals hex manager. As for why these aren't being assigned at the beginning, I think it's because they only sort of exist. We can then go ahead and delete this. We can delete this. It's because each individual element didn't know what its hex manager was. That's the problem. And that should fix it. Because now the script will tell all of the elements what the hex manager is. And we can leave it as public, although at this point we can go ahead and hide in inspector, like so. That'll then go away. Also, this is correct. Building seed is not used. That can go away. Yep, that can also go away. Yeah, there we go. And then go ahead and recompile. Hex manager dot manager is assigned, but its value is never used. Is that accurate? Actually, it is. I think we can go ahead and get rid of that in its entirety. There we go. That'll speed things up a minuscule amount, like almost imperceptibly. In fact, it will be imperceptibly. Okay, let's go. This should work perfectly now. Without the hacky solution, now that I've actually figured out what it is. It wasn't looking at the tutorial script hex manager, it was looking at the element hex manager. So, we'll go ahead and do A. Boom. Great job. Surveying land. Boom. Null reference exception. Really? Really? Of course. That is because we deleted that. The tutorial script didn't actually know about it. We weren't telling the tutorial script about the hex manager anymore either. The tutorial script needs to know about it, but for whatever reason, when we are loading in these prefabs, they aren't grabbing it here. Actually, this should be back to hide in inspector. Okay. There. Now it should work perfectly. Now that I actually understand what's going on a bit better. I can't believe it took me that long to figure out we were not working on the tutorial script hex manager. That's kind of ridiculous. We could, but I think this is fine. So let's go ahead and call this A. And we're going to survey some land. Hex levels. Excellent. Select a biome hex. There we go. Purchasing land. Fantastic. Okay. Well, there we have it. The tutorial is now functional again. And we have a couple of extra steps. In the next episode, I think we're going to go ahead and implement purchasing land and get this tutorial set up. See you all then.